Well, it's time now for a look at the latest business news here on France 24, and with us in studio to do such is Kate Moody. Morning to you, Kate.
Morning, Eve.
Kate, we're going to start out with news that despite months of political turmoil, Thailand has been able to avoid recession.
Yeah, quite narrowly, but we've gotten data in showing that the Thai economy expanded by 0.9% in the second quarter after shrinking nearly 2 percentage points in the first 3 months of the year. A recession, of course, defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. This means that on an annual basis, the Thai economy grew by 0.4% from a year earlier. It experienced a steep drop in exports, foreign investment and tourism during those months of political instability, but domestic spending has picked up again following that military coup in May, and here a sign that things may be getting back on track. Turning our attention to the markets now, we're seeing modest mixed trading in Asia as we begin the week. The Shanghai Composite shrugging off news that new home prices in China fell for a third straight month in July, down an average 0.9% across the country. After skyrocketing in recent years, China's property prices have been falling amid new government regulations, and this is looking like the end of that housing boom.
Okay, now, Kate, take us through some of the other business headlines, perhaps starting with that lawsuit by a former US Vice President.
The former US Vice President Al Gore, who is suing Al Jazeera America. He's accused the Qatar-based network of fraud and breach of contract in its $500 million purchase of Current TV, a cable channel that he founded. Al Jazeera relaunched the channel last year as its news arm focusing on the US, but Gore says it's refusing to pay tens of millions of dollars that are still owed to shareholders. The overseas Chinese banking corporation, Southeast Asia's second largest lender, is planning to sell 440 million new shares. It hopes to raise $2.7 billion to help fund its purchase of Hong Kong's Wing Hang Bank. The Singapore-based lender took over Wing Hang for nearly $5 billion last month, giving it a gateway to the Greater China region. And Telecom Italia is preparing an offer of up to €7 billion to outbid Spain's Telefonica in the race to acquire Vivendi's Brazilian broadband unit, GVT. Telefonica made an unsolicited €6.7 billion bid for GVT earlier this month. It's Telecom Italia's biggest investor and competes with the Italian firm in Brazil's phone market.
Now, Kate, sadly, we're mid-August. The summer is starting to wind down here in France. For a lot of people, that means picking up their pets once again.
Exactly. Pet sitting as a business here in Paris and across France has been booming. Pet sitting agencies target tens of thousands of animal lovers who leave their pets behind when they leave on holiday. Although not cheap, pet sitting agencies have been targeting people via the internet.
It's holiday time for Teresa and her owner Alessandro.
Voilà.
But while Alessandro heads to Spain to visit his family, his boxer will be spending her time at one of Paris's increasingly popular holiday destinations, the home of a pet sitter.
Les pensions, on n'aime pas trop.
We don't like kennels very much because we've had bad experiences in the past. I prefer to have someone who's directly responsible for looking after my dog.
Quelqu'un qui s'occupe directement du chien. Bonjour, comment allez-vous?
Teresa's holiday host is Jean-Paul, who's been in the business of pet sitting for 4 years. Within minutes of their arrival, she's already feeling at home. The 2 weeks of dog sitting will cost Alessandro €225. The dog sitter gets €105, while the rest goes to Holidog, the leading French pet-sitting agency.
Our bookings this year are twice what they were last year, both in France and elsewhere in Europe. The pet market is crisis-proof because French people and other Europeans spend lavish amounts on their pets.
Indeed, French pet owners spend €4 billion per year on their furry friends, and the Holidog website has already clocked up 20,000 reservations this summer.
Holidog holidays. Well, on a more serious note, Kate, the French government is also coming back to work now.
Exactly, and it's a much more serious thing than pet sitting, unfortunately. Top of the agenda is going to be the economy. Last week, we got the news that the French economy had ground to a halt in the first half of the year. 0% growth in both the first and second quarters. The Eurozone as a whole also stagnated in the second quarter. François Hollande's government has now been forced to revise its estimate for the year. They're now predicting just 0.5% growth instead of 1%. The government has also given up its budget deficit targets, the finance minister admitting that instead of falling to 3.8%, that budget deficit is actually going to increase to 4.3%. The EU, of course, had ruled that its member states must bring that deficit down to within 3% of GDP. France had already negotiated a 2-year delay to 2015, but the momentum is clearly moving in the wrong direction. Unemployment is also on the rise, or at least not being decreased. About 11% of the French workforce is unemployed. So jobs, budget deficit, overall economic growth, all going to be pressing issues for the French cabinet when it reconvenes this Wednesday.
Pressing issues and pretty depressing, apparently. Kate Moody there at the Business. Thanks indeed for that. With us also in studio is Nicholas Rushworth, looking at the French papers. Nicholas, any of that lovely news appearing in the papers this Monday?
Indeed, the papers are full